8 things.
we stop picking.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mike, and I'm coming to you from the Redwoods of Northern California.
And my name is Carl Mandrilli, coming to you from Castle Rock, Colorado. What's going on, my friend?
What's happening, man? We've had some beautiful weather up here. Lots of sales. A ton of them this weekend. We're going out this weekend. What about you?
Okay.
How's the weather been out there?
Yeah, crazy. But I did find at a sale last week, and I found a motherload. So yeah, I'll share about that because it kind of happened in an interesting sort of way, and it just kind of took me by surprise, to be honest. So I'll share about that. But in this process this summer, like there's things that I've actually stopped picking, or I've recently picked, and then I've like told myself, okay, I got to stop picking these things because they're just not selling, or they're annoying, or they're hard to ship, or whatever. And so I've come up with 4. Do you have 4 as well?
I've got 4 as well. I've got 4 also. And as you guys know, I'm new to this picking thing, so I've been kind of shotgunning it, but I have kind of gathered some things that I know that I'm not good at. So I'm going to list those off for you guys.
Okay. And you know what? And I think I mentioned this before we started recording is, even though you're new to it, like you've given me some tips, or you've made me like think twice about some things that have actually helped some sales of mine. So I actually literally just sold something. I just got the eBay notification that I sold something right before we started recording that was inspired by one of your tips. And so, yeah, so I'll share that as well. Got that coming up.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Helping each other, man. That's what it's all about.
That's what it is. And trying to grow with you guys, with everyone else. So my number 8 or my number 4, however Carl wants me to order these things, we'll decide. Number 4 is autographed Gerald Wallace stuff. Does not sell. It's been sitting on my shelf forever, but I'm going to go a little bit further with that, and probably sports memorabilia altogether. I know it's profitable. I know that it's lucrative, but I just don't know that genre or that niche at all. So I actually won some Gerald Wallace autograph stuff in an auction, and it's just it's I should have known better. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know he's not hot anymore. It's just, I'm not even getting what I paid for it out of it. Okay. So it's just going to be one of those things that sits until somebody buys it. So,
right. Okay. So
that's my number 4.
It's really not even just sports memorabilia. It's really, you're talking about things in general that you can make money on, but you're just not necessarily an expert in the area, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what my whole list is about when I really look at it, though, because I know people out there are making money on this stuff. It's just stuff that I can't make money on.
Yeah. Okay, true. That's not necessarily true for my whole list. My list kind of deals with things that like were, popular at one time, maybe got less popular or whatever. But I think that there's certain things that you can learn, right? So I don't know. I feel like I learned something new every year. We talked in the wintertime about like the Christmas ornaments and stuff. I didn't learn that. Like I took notes on some of the things you're saying. I've shown up to sales now, and I'm like, I see Christmas ornaments. I'm like, I don't know what's valuable. I've looked at a few things. I'm always wrong. And so I feel like there's a learning curve for some things, but for other things like the sports memorabilia, I feel like you really kind of have to have a history with that and really know what you're talking about. Or you have to have like a friend expert with you to kind of guide you a little bit. Same thing with like jewelry. I just feel like there's some of those things you really got to know what you're doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So that's going to be a little awkward because my list is more of stuff that I just don't know about instead of not buying. And
it's interesting if you bought the stuff anyway, though. Like you said, you have something, it's just sitting around. Right. It's interesting that you tried and failed.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with things like Beanie Babies, man, sometimes they come back around, or you find that holy grail or golden chalice, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That one Beanie Baby that is worth a lot of money.
Right.
So,
and speaking of that, you know what we're going to do? I think I got an idea for an upcoming episode I came across, I don't think it was even targeted to me as a picker. It's just like, it was one of those like things you get in your feed on your email. It's like the most valuable toys from your childhood. And it had like the 20 most valuable things. I think Beanie Babies were on there, but I think it'd be interesting to discuss some of those things because as I cycled through there, like I was like, oh, I've actually found some of this stuff on sale. So anyway, I think that'd be a fun episode to do. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Write it down. Keep a list.
Got the list. All right. First thing that I currently have in my garage, and I think they're all listed right now on eBay, is Yamaha speakers and subwoofers.
Oh, they're not moving for you, huh?
So
Yamaha?
yeah, and I thought I knew. Like I'm kind of a sucker for like if it's a really good quality brand, I'll
Hmm.
typically buy it, and usually even if I don't know about it, like I might do well with it. And so in my mind, I was thinking like Yamaha is like a really good quality brand. I don't
Right.
know if that's always true. It might be one of those brands that has like the really good stuff and then kind of like lower end stuff. I'm not so sure. That's what my wife was telling me. I don't know if that's true. Either way, I listed, I think I've got 3 speakers on there. No, 4 speakers and a subwoofer.
Mm.
And one of the speakers has been on there for a while. Nothing has moved. I've sold zero Yamaha items.
Zero watchers, zero all that stuff.
I think
Views.
that
How
I've
are
got
your
like a
views look?
single washer on 2 of them,
Mm.
but yeah, it's just they're just not moving, and yeah, so as a result, even if they do eventually move, because speakers are like annoying to package, like they're typically heavy, especially subwoofers, and you got to
Hmm.
have the right. You have a lot of packaging mature. You got to package them well. It's just not worth the effort. So I'm not selling those anymore.
That's such a good point about packaging and holding on to them too. And
Yeah.
Yamaha makes great motorcycles. Maybe they don't make good speakers. I don't know.
I think they make great something. I'm not an expert. All
Yeah.
right. What's your next
All
one?
right.
What you got?
My next one is gonna be so this kind of goes. It has a little bit of a story behind it, but it's matchbooks. Back in the day when people used to smoke all the time, they everybody would. It was like a business card. You would put your kind of like you would put your kind of your business card on the matchbook. Your phone number or whatever. And I was it's kind of a new place to source too. I don't know if you know about this, but my local towing company once a year has a sale of all the stuff that they pulled out of cars that they've towed and impounded and turned around and sold. Well, I went to the sale and I saw this bag full of matchbooks, and it had like Circus. It had all these old, names from my childhood. So I was like, for sure, it's vintage, right? It's got to
Right.
be good. And there is a huge market for matchbooks out there and on the eBay. But the thing that was bad about it was I had to look through all of them to see if some of them were used. There were missing matches out of it. Some of them just weren't there. Some of them had a lot of sell through items.
Mm,
So in I probably have 15 or 20 of them that were in this bag. Yeah, I bought them for $1, $2, something really
right.
cheap.
Right.
And I've only got them listed for about $5. And I've got a ton of watchers on them, or a ton of views, ton of watchers, no buyers. And I
Okay.
really can't drop the price anymore, on
Right.
those things. So I think I am staying away from matchbooks from
Yeah.
now
Stay
on.
away. Burn them all
They
down.
they're intriguing to me, and I'm interested in them, and I like seeing that stuff. It's something that like I would enjoy reselling, but it's just not a mover. So I'm
Oh
gonna stay
yeah,
away
because
from
yeah, it seems
matchbooks.
like an easy thing to resell, especially if it's
Yeah,
for shipping and stuff. So just
yeah,
bring them on the
exactly.
next backpacking trip. We'll throw them in the campfire. Just
All right,
light
I'll
them
do it.
up.
That's a great video idea too. We can have
Yeah,
a
it would look
video.
cool to see them all like all these old vintage booklets burning. I don't know, it'd be kind of cool.
It'd probably kill some people's
I sound
hearts
like a
for
pyro
sure.
now.
No.
Speaking of burning, my next one is I'm no longer in the market for used Coleman stoves. I've
Okay.
made some cash on these over the years, but I've also spent a lot of time cleaning them up, especially the white gas ones. That's actually one of the items I gave to you recently when we met up in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And I think like I would looked on eBay and they actually reselled for a fair bit. It was like 40 to $50, maybe even
Mhm.
$60 depending upon the condition. But trying to get all the white gas out of that container is just a nightmare. Maybe not a nightmare. I'm exaggerating, but it's just a hassle. And I tend to sit on them for a long time. So if I
Mhm.
see a stove that hasn't been used or it's been used once and it's relatively clean, I'm still a buyer, but something that's used, even if it looks vintagey, like I'm just not interested.
Mm. It's a good point. I've passed on quite a few of them at yard sales too,
Right.
but that's well, it kind of makes me nervous that I have to clean out the white gas out of the one that you gave me, so I got to learn how to do that.
I've done it before. It's doable. It just takes some time.
Yeah, you said it wasn't too bad, but yeah, you gave me a bunch of stuff, and we actually recorded a video on it, and I got to edit it down, and then we're gonna drop it in YouTube. So if you guys
Okay.
aren't following us yet, go ahead and jump on over to YouTube. If you're not watching us on YouTube right now, click that subscribe button and look for some of these crazy videos we are coming out
Yeah, you
with.
can. I mean, really, you're determining if like if I'm a fool for giving Mike that stuff or if Mike's a fool for taking it, right? Because
Yep.
It's my leftovers. Not everything did I list. I wish I gave you those Yamaha speakers. You would have been excited about those. That would have taken up some
Yeah,
space in your van. But yeah, you can determine. Yeah, check. Yeah, when we drop that, let us know. Was who won on that one? Who's the victor, so to speak?
exactly.
All right, what you got?
All right, so my next one is so this tip was given to us by Pittsburgh Picker, and he recommended whenever he finds old photos at estate sales, he'll pick them up, and he seems to have a good turnover on them, flipping them. But I've bought old photos that were really
Really?
cool, really interesting things. I looked for the things that he suggested us to look for.
Mm-hmm.
I've bought some vintage postcards from way back in the day, like the I don't know, early 1900s. They're pretty vintage and just old photos. But I bought them all. I bought them for $1 each, and I just can't get them to move either. And I don't
Mm,
even have any watchers on them, so
okay.
I don't know if I need to change my descriptions on them. I think I did a pretty good job on them, but they're not moving. They're not as hot as I thought that they were going to be. So I am staying away from old photos and postcards
The
from now
impression
on.
that I got from him, and I could be wrong, is that he would buy like an album for whatever an amount of money, and then out of the album, he's just picking out pictures, maybe a lot of them. And
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't know
good
that he's
point.
selling them all. He might just be like listing a ton. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. And just like boom. And then maybe he lists, I don't know, let's say he lists 100 of them and he sells five and he's
Yeah.
making his money back and, a significant profit on the five. So it's worth the effort for the rest. I don't know if that's true. What we should have him back on and ask him about that because that seems like you want to have a lot. Like you want to have a high inventory. You never know when one's going to sell.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good point. Paying $1 for them, maybe that's too much.
Right.
Maybe I got too detailed
Like
into it.
$5 for an album, maybe, or something like that.
But I have a question for you.
Okay.
What would it be would it be wrong if I went through my old photos from my childhood and sold those online? Would that be weird? Would it be wrong?
Wrong for who? For you or for whoever took the pictures?
Yeah,
Or
is that unethical? Is it weird? Is that something I shouldn't even is that not a thought
they're
I,
your
that, that I
pictures, man. You do what you
that I should even
you
because
do
we
what you
have
want
some
to.
crazy photos like my
Yeah.
mom smoking,
Right.
we're in a lot of it, the Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, we're in all kinds of places that I
Yeah.
never look at. They sit in a box in my garage. And
Yeah.
I
Go
mean
for it. I'd be
I can
curious to
scan
see if
them.
they sold. You're gonna be
I can
portrayed framed somewhere in somebody's house that, is a stranger to you, basically.
should I stamp them Pickers Podcast on the back so they all know where they came from?
Sure.
All right.
Advertising one at a time. That's
Yep,
so funny.
exactly. Nice.
All right.
All
This
right. What you
next one,
got?
I don't know if I've mentioned this one before, but these keep on popping up. So we've talked about like asking for things if you're approaching somebody like an estate sale or garage sale, like, do you happen to have such and such?
Yeah.
And so one of the things I used to ask for, I don't anymore, is I might say like Apple stuff or Apple electronics.
Hmm.
And I've gotten caught a number of times with the iPhone where I have a valuable iPhone. I'm about to buy it, but the person that's selling it to me doesn't know if they've removed their Apple ID from it.
Hmm.
And Apple protects their products with the Apple ID so that, for purposes of getting stolen. And so
Right.
if they don't know their Apple ID, like it's basically useless, like it's valueless. You can't resell it, you can't do anything with it. And so it's not only an issue where like you might end up with a product that has zero value, but it's also that if you do go through the process with somebody, it could take time with an unknown outcome where you might just get stuck there. They could legit take a half hour, 45 minutes away from you, and
Yeah.
you don't walk away with the phone because they just can't figure it out. So,
Yeah.
so at this point, if they don't have it already wiped, or if they're not
Hmm.
sure if it's wiped or not, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna waste my time.
Hmm.
So,
Kind of going down the walking the line of ethical. When somebody steals an Apple product, they
mhm.
have to have a way to wipe it, right, without the person's credentials. So I wonder if there is,
Like a
if it
hack.
just took. That's what I'm wondering, if it is a hack or some kind of a program that they,
Yeah.
excuse me, that they wipe it with. But I like Apple products enough, and I think I would invest in them enough that I would look into how you wipe something without the Apple ID, and if there is a legitimate way that's not shady and dark webbish.
whoever's doing that, I'm gonna say like 90% of that are thieves, right? If
They
that's a
are,
thing.
yes. Mhm.
So so if you're a thief out there, please reach out. Please comment below. How do you wipe all that stuff you stole?
No. How do you ethically do this?
Yeah. Okay. I will share with you that I have. So I used to post on Craigslist, I'm selling such and such product, but I'm open to trades, electronics, Apple stuff, all that stuff. And so
Mhm.
I get shady characters that were like, "Hey, I've got an iPad. It's such and such model. It's worth such and such money. I'm happy to trade it for your product. It's obviously way more valuable than yours, but I'll just do a straight up trade." I'm like,
Right.
"Really? Deal." Oh, but just so you know, it doesn't have it. I forgot my Apple ID. I forgot it.
Oh,
I was
I
like,
don't know my
"Oh,
password.
so you're a thief."
Yeah.
So I just turned them into the cops. Just kidding.
Oh, do you?
No, I
Nice.
have no evidence. I
Yeah.
have no evidence. I'm
No,
just
when
kidding.
when you do any of that up here, try to trade for something, you in my area, they try to trade you for, they call it 215. They'll trade you 215. It's
Mm.
pot, right? It's
Yeah, that's a
marijuana.
comment. I saw that on there. So I stopped listing that for trades. I did pull off some pretty good trades though, where yeah, I remember I was like selling a kid's bike that was pretty beat up.
Hmm.
And I said, I'm willing to trade for an iPod. And I sold the iPod for like, I don't know, $30. And the bike
Hmm.
might have been worth like $5. But the person's like, here's my old iPod. I can really have this bike. And I was like, yeah.
Mm.
So for them, it was a good deal. For me, it was a good deal. So you just never know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. True.
anyway, okay. So that was my third one. What's your last one?
My last one is something. So both of these, the old photos, postcards, and this last one, I really, really wanted to get into selling because I think I would enjoy. Well, I know that I would enjoy selling them, but it's snapback hats. So baseball
Mm,
caps. I really wanted to love this one. I really wanted it to be profitable and make money on it. And I know that a lot of people do. I just don't have the knowledge of picking the right ones because I've seen quite a few and I picked up a lot that were good condition. They were like unique. They weren't just your standard hats.
mm-hmm.
And I have sold one of them, but the rest of them that I've picked, man, they are just doing horrible. There's no
Okay.
watchers, there's no views.
Right.
The one that is doing really good, and you'll get a kick out of this one, my wife actually bought, and it's a spam lover's hat. It has spam all across the top of it, and it's getting quite a lot of views.
Okay. That's really funny.
It,
Spam
yeah.
lovers. Yeah. That's
So
funny.
that tells me it's got to be really unique, and I don't think that I have the eye
Yeah.
for it. So I'm just gonna
We
stay
are
away
selling
from the
some different things. Like
snapbacks.
these aren't even things that are like on my radar.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. All right.
that's what I love about our relationship, man. We are completely different, aren't we?
Yeah, and so next time we're kind of hanging out, like during garage sale season or something, we can definitely go together, and we shouldn't be stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, no.
That being said, I don't know. Like it's tough to go with somebody. I'd be curious if everybody else experiences out there. Do you go with somebody? Do they slow you down? Like I went with my wife last weekend and I had just a banner day, but it started off where it was like we went to a sale. She had a regret of not buying something. So we like drove away and then went back to it. And it was during the
Mm,
like sweet spot in the morning where it's like there's not as many people out there. So
yeah.
we burned a lot of time for an item I wasn't super excited about. But then later on the day, like I took forever at a sale. And so if she was like a picker, she'd be super annoyed at me because I was there forever. And so I don't know efficiently if that works out. But anyway, okay. So my last one, this is something that I've made not a ton of money on, but a fair bit of money on over the years. And this is one that I see all the time at garage sales. Pull-up bars.
Oh,
So there's the kind that you can mount on your door frame. There's the kind that you
yeah.
can like screw in. I see both of them,
Hmm.
pull-up bars. And
Hmm.
so when I started picking, P90X was hot. And so people were trying to figure out ways to do pull-ups at home because that was like a big part of their workout program. So those things, I'd
Sure.
buy them and they would sell like boom fast. I'd buy them for
Yeah.
$5. I'd sell them
Hmm.
for whatever, 15, $20, depending upon the quality, sometimes more. And they would just go. And then that, fad tanked. And so now people still kind of have them, but they don't really use them, or they're going to
Right.
gyms or whatever. I don't know. Either way, I just stopped picking them. I don't even know if they're popular anymore. I just figured that with the tanking of these like, DVD programs, like they're not as valuable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm. That's interesting. I think if could pick them up for cheap enough and I could store them somewhere,
Mhm.
that I'd probably put them up there because you probably get 20 or 30 bucks out of them.
If there's demand, I don't know. I usually see if I go to a community sale, I usually see like 2 in a day.
Yeah, sounds like it's
So
pretty
yeah,
saturated. Might be pretty saturated.
yeah, I don't know. But
All
all
right,
right,
these are all good learning qualities to have. We're all growing as we go, aren't we?
we'll circle back to this because I think at the end of the season we might have some more things we're gonna add to this. So things we stopped picking for reasons. Are we foolish for these decisions? Or let us know. Leave comments, whatever. We've got, maybe there's some things we should have had on the list that you can tell us about that we should stop picking. I don't know. Just let us know. Super helpful.
Yeah, I think we'd get a lot of comments on the common ones like you're talking about Beanie Babies, Black
Mhm.
Diamond VHS tapes, all
Right.
the kind of scam ones that I've been seeing all over the internet too.
Right. So, all right.
All right,
Moving on, I got to share about the mother load. This is what happened last weekend, as I was just talking about
I'm
being at a sale
I'm
forever.
I am dying to hear about it, man. What do you got for the mother load?
Okay, so I was on the hunt for video games last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in it. We were in a community that had like a mix of easy to access houses where driveways are kind of side by side, like the kind of the middle class slash upper middle class houses. And then in the middle of the community were like the really rich houses, the
Yeah.
wealthy ones with like the big yards, the long driveways.
Right.
And so I typically stay away from the bit that those ones just take too long. And so we hit one towards the end of the day, and it was probably the longest driveway I've ever walked to go to a garage sale. I was like
Mm-hmm.
telling my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is such a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're hiking up the hill to their house, and there's two ladies talking, which is usually not a good sign because usually like you can't get their attention. The
Mm-hmm.
sale looked like it was a decent size, but both ladies turn to me and say, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, video games.
uh,
And the lady to the right, it was not her sale. She was a neighbor. She wasn't having a garage sale. And she's like,
okay.
I got what you want. Let me take you to my house. And so she
Oh.
walked me next door, which took forever again, and then into her house. And then she walked me down into her basement to dig out stuff. And so it
You,
wasn't
my
like I just
friend,
happened.
are you
What's
are a
that?
very trusting person. I am not walking into somebody's house and into their basement. There's no way. I don't know
Oh,
why
you
you
wouldn't
do
be the
this.
one going to somebody else's house.
No, I'm not, and I'm definitely not going into their basement. You'll never
You
see
think that
me
they're going to
again.
trap you down there.
Have you not watched any horror movies in your entire life? This
I
is
had my wife
exactly how
behind,
it
so
is.
she knew where I was, and this was like a
Okay.
nice older lady. I don't. I think I'm like she's the one inviting like a strange dude into her house. I feel
Yeah,
like she's the
that
one at
is
risk.
weird.
So
Yep.
yeah, I don't
Okay,
have a problem with it. I've
continue
done
on.
this a lot of times. So I'll go to her basement, and then she pulls out box after like basically like I think it was like 5 boxes just
Oh,
loaded with stuff.
wow.
And I just had never seen so much in one spot. I was like, this is amazing. And
Hmm.
so I bought all of it for I think it was like $180. And it was just the mother load. I was like, I've never seen all of
Oh,
this in one spot. And it took me forever to get out of her house. It took me forever, to pay her through Venmo because I didn't have that much money on me at the time. It's like at the end
yeah.
of the day, it took a long time, but it was worth it. So yeah.
So how what are we talking? How many games, systems? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so I don't know if for the game nerds out there, there's like a Nintendo 64, a GameCube, an Xbox 360, and then one of the boxes contained like a bunch of those old handheld Game Boy games. Like there's like some Game Boy Advances and some
Yeah.
Game Boy Pockets and colors and this and that, like a whole box full of those. I'm like, honestly, I was questioning. I was like, okay, I liked playing video games as a kid. If I had this many games, like my parents
Yeah.
bought me this many games, like I couldn't get through the day. Like I couldn't get through all the games. There's not
Right.
enough time in the day to play nonstop and get through all the games that she had, all the different
Uh-huh.
Zeldas or whatever. And so I was kind of blown away by, I'm like, this is unreal how much stuff she has. So yeah,
And you got it for under 200 bucks. That is that I'm blown away because weren't you just at a sale not too long ago where you paid I don't what
500
did you
bucks.
pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, 500
Yeah.
bucks.
Correct. But here's
Good
okay. So
luck.
here's how it ties into you is because I think early on, one of our early episodes, you were like, I was at a sale and I should have bought this like garage band setup. And I was like, Mike,
Yeah,
it's a waste of your time. And
right.
so you're like, oh, okay, no big deal then. I didn't miss out. And so then I was like, okay, I really haven't ever looked it up. I just know that people don't play it anymore, but I've never truly looked it up to see
Yeah.
if it's worth anything. And it is. Some of that stuff's still worth something. It's
Yes.
super annoying to ship, like super annoying. It's so bulky. But one of the things that she gave me was this old, like, I don't know, it was like an Xbox 360 guitar. And
Mhm.
so I just had, it's just like annoying. It's like in the way. And so finally this week I was like, okay, I'm, is this guitar, like the guitar by itself, is this worth anything? And so that's the one that I just sold right before we started recording. I sold it
Oh, cool.
for, I think after shipping, it's going to be around like 80 bucks. 80 bucks for the
Nice,
guitar.
man.
I was like, who's
I
using this still?
I know.
So my
That
bad.
that yeah, that drum set too, after we talked, I looked it up and it was going for like 130 or something like that.
Yeah.
It
And I've
was
since sold one for about that price. And so, yeah, so I have to hand it to you. I've learned from you, my friend.
cool. I
But anyways,
appreciate
that's
it.
one of my stories. You said you had some stories about like you made some decent sales and some interesting things. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some Christmas stuff, a Christmas story for you again.
Okay.
So it's July, coming up on July, and I just sold the last of my miniature Christmas trees that I
Oh,
bought
I
at
think you
that
saw you
estate
post
sale.
about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So when I was, what was interesting, I went to a wedding the day before, and I was talking to another reseller that about those Christmas trees and how I should have. So I had a set of evergreen Christmas trees, so ones with leaves on it, ones that were just all bare. And I separated the two out. And what I should have done is combined them, or not combine the whole lots, but separated them out and put some of the evergreens in with the bare ones, so it looked more appealing. Because the bare ones all by themselves, they just looked drab. It was a horrible picture.
Right.
The listing looked bad. But and it was kind of funny. The next day, I woke up and the listing and it had sold for full price. So
There
it
you
was
go.
great. I know, I loved it.
So
So paid
are you
seven.
out of Christmas stuff then? You're like sold out.
No, I still got a frosty door hanger. Anybody out there looking for a frosty door hanger? Pickers
Oh my
podcast
God.
on eBay,
Awesome.
sitting there. Paid
Awesome.
$7. Paid $7 and sold for $12.99 plus shipping.
Wow.
And then the last one was, I think you like this stuff too. Is this guy, one of my buddies, he had a Cool, the clothing brand Cool,
Mm-hmm.
KUHL. Well, he gave me a belt that he didn't like, and I wore it a couple times, and I tried it out on this last van trip that we went on, and I was wearing shorts, man, and I got heavy pockets to begin with, and then I carry something else on me that's really heavy in my belt. And I leaned up against something, and that thing popped off because it's like a push button release type
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
belt.
yeah.
And that thing popped off. I had my hands full, and my pants are about to go around my ankles, man. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I took that belt off. I'm like, I'm never wearing this thing again.
Correct.
So I took
Correct.
it off, listed it. We ended up we listed it for $17.99, and I kept getting offers on it, and there were really low ball offers. So I was like, no,
Right.
no, 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 no. And then I finally declined the last low ball offer. Well, I counter offered on a low ball offer, and he declined it. So
Okay.
then I woke up and sold it the next day for full price, seventeen
There you
ninety
go.
nine plus shipping, zero paid for it. I love
Love
those
it, man.
kind
I
of
love
deals.
it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
So
great.
not only did I get rid of something annoying, but I made some money off of
That's
it.
the best. So
No, I love it.
yeah, I wonder if you put the story like in the description, like this belt caused me to get super embarrassed one time because I hit the button at the wrong time.
Sold something that made my pants go around my ankle.
That's
I don't
hilarious.
know.
That
Yeah.
is hilarious. All
Let's think
right.
of something clever.
Yeah. I do have a tip. This is like yeah, I don't know if you like this tip or not. I'm just gonna share it with you. So
Okay.
we bought a new couch this week.
Mm.
So we bought it off of Facebook, all right, from a guy in kind of North Denver area. So we're like I'm not thinking we need a new couch, so I'm a little reluctant to go. Kind of side story is like I guess it's a really expensive couch, and the guy had it listed pretty low, but he's like, I'm moving, I need to get rid of this couch,
Hmm.
and so then I just like offered him like a couple $100 lower than what he was offering after he'd reduced the price. He's like, sold as long as you can come and get it, and you got a truck and all this. And anyway,
Oh.
so I was a little more excited because I got a good deal on it, but it's my wife wanted the couch, so we go up there and it takes a while. It's like multi-piece couch. It's taking a while to load into the truck.
Yeah.
And so we're loading it, and I'm just chatting with the guy, and I'm like, oh, so you're moving? Like, did you have a garage? So he's like, no, this house doesn't quite fit the garage sale mold. I was like, okay, you're not selling any old electronics, are you? Like trying to get rid of those, are you?
Uh-huh.
He's like, no, I don't. I'm not. I don't have any of that stuff. I was like, okay. Like, I don't know why this conversation goes this way, but it's like I get denied so many times, and then they think about it for a second, and then he's like,
Yeah.
well, actually, I have such and such. And so I ended
Yeah.
up buying, like, I ended up picking from him on the spot.
Nice.
I got something from him. So yeah, so kind of a tip, like, you know, if you're selling or you're buying or whatever, you end up at somebody's house, which I know you're afraid of. Ask if they have any more of the things that you're looking
Yeah.
for. You never know.
Man, that's a fantastic tip. I will definitely keep
It's worked
that
a
in
few
mind
times. It doesn't
too.
work all the time. In fact, most of the time it doesn't
Mhm.
work, but it has worked a few times.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And I wouldn't have thought to ask that.
Right.
So I'm sure some of our listeners probably are in the same boat that I am.
For
That's
sure.
great, man. You are a wealth of knowledge. I love
Thanks, man. I don't
chatting
know.
with you.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I still want to go door to
Yeah.
door and do like the American Pickers thing, and haven't done that yet, but maybe later this summer we'll see.
Yeah, you know, the American Pickers thing really, really intrigues me because just like you found all those video games in that lady's basement, I've went to enough estate sales that I can't imagine some of these barns and basements that people just have loaded with stuff that I really want,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
and
you hit the right
finding it.
person at the right time. They got time for you. They want sometimes they just want to talk. You
Yeah.
know, especially people that got more time. They don't have like little kids. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Stuff just blows your mind. I want to go to that one place where it just blows my mind when I walk into it. I'm like, oh my gosh,
right.
this is awesome. This is what I've been looking for. All right. So I got a follow up for you. You've been asking me to keep you up to date on this thing. And it's the handmade golfer sweater that Jennifer found at
Yeah,
Goodwill.
yeah.
So no buyers yet. We've got 16 views on it and 7 watchers on it. We have
7 watchers. How is that not sold, man? That's crazy.
7 watchers at $189 for the
Okay.
sweater,
Have
dude.
you reduced the price at all?
We haven't reduced the price. So that'll be
Okay.
the next step. When you start getting up to that many watchers and that
Mhm.
many views and not selling, that's kind of a good tip that you
That's
know you
what's a
need to
crazy
come down on the
percentage. Usually with
price.
7 watchers, you've had like 50, 100 views. Like only 16 views and 7 watchers is crazy.
I know that is pretty wild. But
Yeah.
this is gonna be the greatest. Jen's gonna win for sure. $9.99. She bought it for
Yeah. Do
$9.99.
it, man.
Listing it for
I might drop it a couple
189.
bucks or $5 the most and see what happens.
Yeah, she's
So,
pretty good with that. So
okay. Or
she's
just be
always
patient.
sending
Either
out
way.
offers and stuff. Yep, that's
I
great.
like it.
All
I like
right.
the update. All right.
Yeah.
It's trivia time, my friend, and a couple of items on my list were like tech related, so I figured I'd give you some tech trivia.
Okay. Check it out for
Tech
me.
trivia number 1. Which iPod was in the shape of a square? I got multiple choice. A Nano, B Shuffle, C Touch, or D Classic?
I feel like the shuffle was rectangle and a square,
Mm-hmm.
but the nano was also a square. So I think you're
You
at
think it's a
2.
bad question?
I'm gonna go with the shuffle.
Okay, Shuffle is correct. There was a Nano square as well. There was a Shuffle square, so I would have taken either answer. I was
Oh,
giving you a little
perfect.
softball there, or I
Nice. I
forgot.
like
One of the two.
softballs.
Number 2 is true or false. The Apple Watch can determine what type of workout you're doing after you've started.
True, because mine's always bugging me.
Oh, you have an Apple Watch. Okay. All right. You're
You're
killing
on an
this.
outdoor walk.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened. My wife just got one for her birthday, so that's why I know
Cool.
that. Anyway, number 3,
Yep.
what's the most popular brand of VR goggles out right now?
Oh, the Oculus. Facebook.
3 for 3, man.
Yes.
3
I know
for
my
3.
tech, man.
You
I
know your
know my
tech.
tech.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Pass
Well,
another trivia.
you just answered my own question, Carl. Why am I worrying about Santa blow molds and snapback hats? I know tech. Why don't I just focus on tech?
Tech is okay. Because tech is both popular and risky is why you might not do that. But if
Okay.
you know your stuff, maybe you can make it work. It also can be time consuming to test things out. So kind of a warning with that.
That
But
is, yeah.
yeah. So you gotta, I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. But there
Gotta
you go.
watch it. Okay.
All right. So anything else, Mike?
No, that was my only follow up that I had.
All right.
We are going to some large yard sales this weekend. So
Okay.
hopefully I have a lot of stories. And I'm going to, first ever, I'm gonna wear the GoPro chest mount.
Oh, okay. I'm curious how this is gonna turn out.
I know I'm a little
If you get
nervous.
hits on that on YouTube, I will be blown away.
Yeah, it's really weird how people are just voyeuristic on going up to yard sales and watching people. But these
Yeah.
guys, you know, Picking Gilla, she is blowing up because,
Yeah,
and that's all she
because of
does
that.
is those kind of
Okay.
GoPro videos.
I'll try one. All right. Well, if you do well with it, then I'll try one as well. So, all right, folks, it's time for you to find your own treasures one story at a time.
And remember, it's not reselling if you forget to tape the box.